North Carolina. Wow, that could have been a disaster, right? And we were following it closely here. We always worry that some gunman will shoot an enormous number of students or fellow Americans, and, well, it's not what happened. So we thank God for that. And yet in Jacksonville, there was an individual who went hunting after black people. And he murdered 3 black people, cold-blooded. They hadn't done a damn thing to anybody. And really, in this day and age, when you read stuff like that, or you hear about stuff like that, it really does send chills down your spine. It really does. And, of course, the gun control nut job sees on these things. And it serves no purpose. It solves nothing when this happens. T.K. Waters is the sheriff of Jacksonville County. Enormously impressive gentleman. African-American. I was watching him speak over the weekend. And honestly, he spoke for me. How this guy who did the shooting, just pure evil. Pure evil. And of course, he's at a press conference Saturday, and what do you think comes up? And these people were murdered at the Dollar General store. Because they're black. That's it. That's it. And so he's there, and he's taking the questions. And then this happens. Cut 14, go.
Well, we have to stop people that have bad intentions. This story is always about guns. People are bad. This guy's a bad guy. If I can take my gun off right now put it on his counter, nothing will happen. It'll sit
By the
there.
way, stop. So he took the gun out of its holster. And he put it right on the table. He said, there it is. Nothing will happen. It'll sit there. But as soon as wicked persons, go ahead.
As soon as a wicked person grabs a hold of that handgun and starts shooting people with it, there's the problem. The problem is the individual. Now, guns are a tool that people use to do horrible things. But it's the individuals that wield these things. So we are working hard to try to stop that. But in this situation, in this case, there was nothing illegal about him owning the firearm.
I don't know what it's going to take. I write in my book, I explain what law would have stopped something like this. Or what happened in Nashville. Or what happened in Texas. Or what happens in all these places. What law? I mean, I even list all the recommendations that have been made. It would have stopped nothing. Then we have Isaiah Rumlin, president of the NAACP in Jacksonville, on CNN today. And CNN is not looking for answers. CNN is looking for ratings. And the reason it doesn't get ratings is reasons like this. Cut 15, go.
Over the weekend, I spoke with my colleague Juliette Kayyem. She used to be an official with the Department of Homeland Security. And she told me that Jacksonville specifically is a breeding ground of neo-Nazism, that they have been tracking this and seeing this. I mean, what can you tell me and tell us about the climate there in Jacksonville with these hate groups?
And by the way, there is a lot of this going on. And there are laws that have been passed, additional laws in Florida that DeSantis has signed. Law enforcement has been given more power to deal with them. But I have to be honest, when I went into CPAC this last time in Maryland, where there were thousands of conservatives, and I was walking through from the front entry area, the lobby area, through the building, with my mother-in-law, and a gentleman you know whose name I shall not mention. I was followed by 5 neo-Nazis. With Nick Fuentes' crowd. And they got right into it with me. These are young people. So I turned around and I said to them, in essence, yeah, right, the Jews owe the banks and they own that. Yeah. And one of them had an iPhone, or more of them had an iPhone out there. Had to be 7, 8, 9 of them. And they posted some of this, but here's what they didn't post. I took my forefinger in my right hand and I pointed at each one of them, an inch or two from their faces. I said, you, and so forth. I'm very lucky I don't kick your asses. Then I turned around with my mother-in-law and this other gentleman. By the way, the other gentleman took off. I couldn't find him anymore. He left. He skedaddled away. And by the way, he's Jewish too. But he took off. Then they started again, and I turned around again, and I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to punch one of these guys, and then they're going to sue me because they didn't hit me first, and they'll take everything I have. Or maybe they'll hurt my mother-in-law. So I said a few more things, and I said, let's go. There was fire coming through my nostrils and my ears. I'm telling you right now, I was so angry. I figured what my father once told me. When I was in elementary school and I was a safety on the corner and there was a bully, there were 5 or 6 of them and they were bothering me. And he said to me, take out the bully. Take out the bully. And that went through my mind because the guy on the far right when I was standing there, I'm being honest with you, I said, I need to take this punk out. But he put up his camera again and I knocked it out of his hand. He said, assault, assault. I said, yeah, right, assault. His iPhone. Anyway, that was that. Nothing like this. All right, what's this, for God's sakes? All right, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead, Mr. Producer.
I think the federal government and the Justice Department are going to have to do a better job and exercising exactly where these hate groups exist. I mean, we see these Confederate signs, we see the Trump signs constantly on our streets, and we know from that standpoint that there's hatred, and we're just going to have to deal with it some kind of way. And the Justice Department needs to be right here today looking into it.
Now I want you to hear from Representative Maxwell Frost of Florida on MSNBC yesterday. Cut 16, go.
It's the same ask I've had for the governor for years, and it's to actually take action on gun violence prevention. He needs to do that, and he also needs to take actual
that doesn't
steps.
Sound like no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
To move away and stop championing and stop embracing this far right-wing movement that is the home of the shooter from yesterday.
I'm so sick of people like this. I'm so sick of them. So now it's DeSantis' fault for embracing neo-Nazis. DeSantis despises neo-Nazis. You know, this reminds me, here's DeSantis. When he was in the House of Representatives, he was the #1 leader in the cause for Israel and to move the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. #1. And before Trump became president, he was promoting it. #1. He's got massive support among the Orthodox Jews in Florida, of which there are a substantial number, particularly in South Florida. He's got a lot of Jewish supporters, and this bastard, this Maxwell Frost, gets up there and makes a comment like that. Makes a comment like that? Now, let's be 100% clear. The neo-Nazi movement grew out of the Democrat Party. Anti-black racism, that was a Democrat Party thing, not a Republican Party thing. Let's be abundantly clear about this. Lynching, that was a Democrat Party thing, not a Republican Party thing. And the idea that the governor of Florida, who's done more to fight the neo-Nazis than any governor I'm aware of in that state, and has done more to support efforts to criminalize what they do to other people, is really appalling. And for this to go on MSNBC yesterday and the other guy on CNN, it's so sick, because they're all Democrat operations. They all cover for the Democrat Party. It's what they do. That's how they conduct themselves.